Hello, friends. This is Tahverlee, and you are listening to Grit and Grace. We are here for soul-level conversations that will take us across the veil in mystical and magical ways. I invite you to leave what you know at the door, open your heart, and receive. If you want to find out more information, make sure you go to moontempleschool.com. And now let's get started. Today we're going to talk about one of the most interesting mysteries of this path that we walk, which is the Akashic Records, or otherwise known as your past lives or your soul code. The opportunities are ways in which you have to learn and how you're carrying those patterns in this lifetime from all other lifetimes is a fascinating topic. If you've ever had an Akashic Records reading done before, it can just often just blow your mind because the similarities in what you've lived out in other lives is most often still playing out in this current life, which is crazy. It's really crazy, mysterious, amazing, and wonderful all at the same time. I'm going to talk about this very briefly, but more under the premise of the truth about past lives. Because it can be a lifetime of study to learn how to do past life readings or Akashic Records readings. And it can also be a lifetime study of how does that impact your life now. Because you know me, I don't want to just take you into these mysteries and give you knowledge and information if it doesn't have practical, real human opportunities and ways to implement it. If it doesn't have impact in this lifetime. And knowledge is amazing. I believe knowledge is power. For sure, knowledge is power. The more we know, the more we learn, the more we grow. And yet there is a threshold of where knowledge, seeking more knowledge can become a crutch to actually implementing and living out your greatest life now based upon the knowledge you've gained. We do this in all classes in Mystery School. It doesn't matter if it's the Sacred Wheel class, which we are deep into the thick of, and you can join anytime because each of the modules are standalone. So it's the path of the healer's journey. It's learning how to do the healing for yourself first, and then how you carry that and represent it in your communities. We work on elemental magic. We work on the seasons. We work the entire medicine wheel. We chart an entire medicine wheel every single month. And we do it with the high level spiritual teachings and bringing it into your practical human reality. Because to me, one without the other is just information. It's how you become an actual participant in magic, or how you become an actual practitioner of magic, not just a participant. That's even deeper, a practitioner. How instead of just somebody that knows it, as in K-N-O-W, you become someone that has gnosis, G-N-O-S-I-S, which means you know it to be true because you've experienced it, not just because you've been taught it. And this is the truth about learning your past lives or the history of your soul, is that it's not just about knowing that information. That's not enough. Because you are a powerful creator. You are the only powerful creator in your life is you. Everything else is secondary. You have the ability to take those experiences from past lives and use them to create change in this life. You can take your power back. You can face it head on. You can clear patterns. You can actually clear generations of trauma and patterning by doing this work for yourself. This is true. It's a known spiritual fact that when you walk this path and you clear generational trauma, you are clearing it 7 generations behind you and 7 generations ahead of you. So this is important. Because if you want to fully embrace your potential in this lifetime and you start swirling into past lives and Akashic Records and you start knowing all of this information, you can kind of sit in this conundrum of, well, wow, I know now that I've experienced this before. And then what do you do with that? And that's what we're going to talk about today. I have had several Akashic Records readings, and I have a beautiful soul sister who has done many readings for students in mystery school. And we actually have an Akashic Records course where you can learn how to do your own readings. We have all of this available, and she has done more than one deep reading for me. And I have had other guests on this podcast that have also done past life readings for me. And the interesting thing for me is always that there's a handful, because there's can often be many past lives for us to go into. And a good Akashic Records reader can only go into one or two of them at a time in depth. What I've received in terms of the readings have been exactly the same every time. So I have some strong patterning in my soul's history of how I've chosen to incarnate on this planet and live out my experiences. They are often very, 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 very similar. And there is always a few little outliers of new pieces of information that come in. And I know in my body that these things are true. There's like a quickening of my pulse and an inner knowing where I like flash through this entire lifetime at how what they're telling me has played out in this lifetime. It's almost like I lose words, and y'all know I can talk. So when I lose words, I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And in each of those cases, I have put in significant amount of time and work to look at how those patterns are showing in this lifetime. And does it still serve me? Is it still in my highest good? Or can I like check that lesson off the box, call my power back, end that patterning, and choose to do something different? And it is possible for you too as well. I see so many people on social media that talk about things that they've experienced in the past. And I also talk a lot about how women have been, primarily women, persecuted and killed for being powerful healers, seers, shamans, witches. The sheer quantity of humans that have died for doing the work that we do now, open in public. I mean, I'm on a microphone talking about this, and I'm going to distribute it to thousands of people over the world, and I don't have to worry about my life being at risk. So we live in an amazing time to be able to do this work, and what a blessing. So I hear about it, and I also talk about it a lot, and you will hear a lot of people. Even in mystery school, we talk about this a lot, that I know in my past life I lived here, or I did this, or I know in my past life I experienced this. And oftentimes we approach it from the perspective of I have been a victim in a past life, especially witches. I've been a victim in a past life of being persecuted for my magic, for my healing, for my power, for being independent, for being too beautiful, too sexual. I know these things to be true about so many of us. But there's always that little niggling part of me that wants to remind anyone who holds on to that victimness from past lives that it's also very, very likely that you were the persecutor. At some point in time, you were also the persecutor. Now, a persecutor could mean that you turned in your neighbor or your best friend because they were going to kill you and your children if you didn't bring forward someone else who was doing what they deemed to be inappropriate at the time. We protect our family and our loved ones. You may have been someone who participated in any type of witch trials, but not from the victim perspective. You may have been the persecutor. In fact, I say you may, because it's definitely not going to be the case for everyone, nor has everyone been a victim of this type of killing in the past. But a lot of us that walk this path have been. And I'll tell you that you have likely been both. And so when we talk about our past lives and the truth about our past lives, and we truly want to acknowledge how we can bring that into our current experience to clear patterns and trauma, we also have to acknowledge that we have never only been the victim in all situations, not just in our work as healers or witches or seers or oracles. And when we want to truly take our power back, it's acknowledging that I may have also been the persecutor. And I desire to clear all of this patterning. And that means coming back to your human life now. And how is this playing out? So going deeper than surface level, if you know anything about your past lives or you've had an Akashic Records reading, it's most likely that a good reader has given you words, mantras, rituals, things to do to call back your power from all of those situations, to call back your energy and leave the lessons intact. And you can do that. You can create that on your own if you don't have that, or even if you don't know anything about your past lives or your Akashic records, if you know nothing about them, you could embark on a ritual. I'm going to suggest a full moon cycle or a 21-day cycle of sitting in stillness and in your meditation and speaking words such as, tweak these for yourself, speaking words such as, I call back all of my power from every lifetime, space, reality, and universe where I have sacrificed my boundaries or lost due to, I call it back now, leaving the learning lesson intact. You may also use something like, I clear all my energy fields of patterning and trauma, both in this lifetime, all lifetimes, spaces, realities, and times, and bring my full energy and wisdom back to my body from the lessons that I've learned, leaving the patterning behind. So some variation you can create of removing and clearing from all time, spaces, and realities, and bringing it back to you, but leaving the lessons intact. So even if you don't know anything about your past lives, this is a good practice to embark on. Now, if you have an immediate hit of, I'm going to say like tingling or excitement or knowledge that you know that you have been a victim in your past life, and you're doing these rituals to clear it, come back to this human lifetime, this experience, and journal on it, write out, where in this lifetime have I also been a victim? And how can I heal this particular experience? And again, this is why the Sacred Wheel class is really good for this, because you can go through this every month of the year and truly go to the heart of how and why these experiences have occurred and how you're going to heal it. And then also ask yourself, how in this lifetime have I been the perpetrator or the persecutor in this lifetime? And what can I do to heal it? How can I make amends, even spiritually, bring the lessons forward and make amends? And I wanted to specifically talk about this because I've spoken to a whole bunch of mystery school students recently who know they have deep knowing of what they've experienced in past lives. And there's no Akashic Records reading necessary. They know inside of them what they've experienced before. And I actually think that a lot of what we experience in things like deja vu, or when we shift timelines in astral travel while we sleep or in ritual, that we're experiencing what we've experienced before. And this happened to me once very early on, walking the path as a high priestess. I was in a journey space and I experienced something so profound. And word for word, I was able to write out what had occurred in this journey space that happened, of course, in my mind's eye. It's like I had shifted into a different time and space. This whole situation played out front to back, and then I was able to record the whole thing, written down word for word, every bit of the experience. And at that time, no one had done an Akashic Records reading for me or past life reading. Nobody had done that. And so this whole experience blew my mind. I will admit I was a little discombobulated because it sat with me in the sense of I knew where in my life I was choosing that same way of showing up. I was showing up in this lifetime, I don't know why, no reason why. And this, it's like it was given to me as an explanation of an archetypal energy that I'm playing out right now. And then interestingly enough, that is exactly one of the past life readings that comes up in anyone who's done one for me. Same. Blows my mind. And I also know that it's not enough to just have my mind blown. It's enough to explore, okay, well, this gives me maybe some rationale behind why I do this particular behavior, how I show up in my personality in this way. It gives me knowledge, but that isn't enough. It's enough to explore the undercurrents of that. And does that serve me? Does that serve me in this lifetime to continue that pattern, or shall I release it? Blows my mind. And I've seen so many people come into mystery school, and I know it's tied to the fact that we're living at a time where collectively our consciousness is raising really fast, which is our waking up in every corner of the world, in every path, tradition, area. It doesn't matter who you are, man, woman, anything. People are waking up to this internal power, which means that access to the other side of the veil gives us information, and often that can be from past lives, and you may not even know it. If you go on a journey, or if you shift consciousness and in a meditation or in some space you experience something totally wild where you almost died, like a truck is coming at you and you're literally driving on the road in this current time and space, and you pull over, and in your mind, before you've been hit by that truck and you died, you've likely done that before. And then it melts our minds. Like, well, what does that mean now? What is that, like, how does that play out? So these are the deep, deep questions to ask yourself if you truly want to know about your past life and how you can address the patterns and the traumas now to heal, to acknowledge full truth, right? We're working with full truth here, where we've been the victim, where we've been the persecutor, and how we can bring those lessons to live in the greatest expansion of joy in this lifetime, of joy and of highest level of vibration, and being able to come to our center and experience the full depths of it all with our eyes open, with our hearts open, with our ears open, with our olfactory system smelling everything in depth. That's what it's all about. I hope this was helpful. Check out the Sacred Wheel, moontempleschool.com, and I will see you in Mystery School soon. Thank you for joining us today. On any of your favorite listening apps, we would really appreciate a rating and review. And if you're looking for more information, make sure that you go to moontempleschool.com and you can find us there.